Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from the Federalist dated July 30th. And it says Barack Obama fathered today's Marxist Democrat Party, and that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I think we already knew that. And another sentence here that probably everybody knew already was Barack Obama is no moderate and neither is his party, says the subheading. So heading right into the article itself, it says, with the rise of the Mamdani-style communists has come a widespread narrative that the sudden rise of more openly radical politicians means the Democrats of the last few years or decades are somehow moderate. Depending on who's telling the story, it's a harrowing tale about Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries trying to stave off the DSA Marxists, or the far left floundering because it doesn't have its own Fox News, or the party needing a storybook journey home to the moderation of Joe Biden and Barack Obama. Well, I'd say the far left does have its own Fox News called MS Now. Or maybe the Young Turks, one of those. Says these are all tall tales, of course. Schumer and Jeffries are engaged in a power struggle, but it's an intramural contest among fellow radicals. Leftists far and near have numerous Fox News scale allies such as CNN, ABC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and so on and so forth. Biden is anything but moderate, and Obama has arguably done more than anyone to create the radicalism that is now pervasive on the left. This hasn't stopped a host of commentators from presenting Obama as a beacon of the political center. In one recent example, former President Obama's friendly interaction with WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark went viral in the wake of anti-Clark backlash that included a USA Today op-ed accusing her of sparking racial lynching-level violence by complaining about referees' foul calls. And if you don't know anything about that, it's a USA Today article written by Nancy, is it Armour or something? Or Moore, I don't know. It's spelled like armor, I think, but like a British way with like a U in it, I think. But it's dumb. It's really, really dumb, and you'll basically have like retardation overload from reading it. It's so bad. So continuing on, it says, "You're fantastic," Obama told Clark. "Don't let all this nonsense get you down." His conversation with Clark had all the warmth and riz that made Obama an effective politician. And his avuncular advice reads like a Solomonic proverb compared to this kind of raving lunacy. It seems there is a white nationalist faction to Clark's fandom that is deeply, deeply problematic, made even more so because the WNBA is made up predominantly of black women, many of them queer. That's actually from that article, by the way. Yeah, it doesn't actually, let's see here. Avuncular advice. Yeah, okay, it didn't say that was actually from the article. That's actually from the USA Today article that I was talking about by that lady. And then Philip Klein here says, a perfect example of why Obama is hated by the far left and also why he won 2 elections comfortably. Yes, because he was like a peacemaker sort of thing. So, okay. So it says, lunacy aside, however, Obama's sanity in the smile, wave and kiss the baby's campaign trail moment doesn't erase a tidal wave of evidence that he more than anyone else is the patriarch and pioneer of today's Democrat Party and Zohran Mamdani's rising Islamo-communism. Arguing that he's a moderate is similar to saying he's the most humble man on the face of the earth because he didn't blurt out me like Michelle did in this interview, and we're not going to play that, but yeah, she's like a raging narcissist. That tidal wave of evidence begins with the legislation that unofficially bears his name, Obamacare, which Obama ran through in the biggest government takeover of healthcare in U.S. history. Did he succeed in establishing the single-payer universal healthcare system, complete with MAID services when the government runs out of cash, that Mamdani and company dream about? And if you don't know what MAID is, go see what Canada's doing at that. It's medical assistance in dying. It's basically like your doctor saying, oh, wait, you sprained your big toe? Well, would you rather just be put to death? That's basically what it is. So it said that he accomplished that. The universal healthcare says not quite, but he did force insurance companies to cover individuals with pre-existing conditions, destroy healthcare as Americans had known it, and essentially make it a crime not to be insured. Health insurance premiums have nearly doubled since the passage of the Affordable Care Act, and taxpayers are stuck subsidizing a socialistic monstrosity that Obama promised wouldn't add a dime to the national debt. Hey, whoops. So speaking of other so-called moderates, Nancy Pelosi was there every step of the way, explaining that we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it. Yeah, I mean, how would you like that? We're gonna. It's not a present. You're not like giving us a Christmas present. You're not going, yeah, here. You need to open it to find out what's in it. This is a bill. Everybody should know what's in it. You work for the American people. The American people want to know what's in it. It shouldn't be, we're going to pass this and then find out how you got screwed over. So it says, and boy, have Americans found out. And oh boy, have we. This is another hallmark of the DSA Marxists that purportedly sets them apart from the moderates in the Democrat Party is their associations with other radicals. Mamdani proudly hobnobbed with an imam who called for a jihad and was alleged to be a co-conspirator in the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. And that was basically 9/11 before the actual 9/11. That was supposed to take down the buildings, or at least one of them. And it just didn't work. Thankfully, it didn't quite work out that way. So this is Adam Hamawi, a New Jersey congressional candidate likely headed to Washington, D.C., reportedly once testified on behalf of the mastermind behind the 1993 attack. So remember, that says testified on behalf of, not against. So this DSA member, Darializa Avila Chevalier, helped start a Columbia University group that had stated the goal of destroying, or had the stated goal of destroying Western civilization. And they were serious about that, by the way. It says, but one might argue that these leftist politicians are simply following in Obama's footsteps. He notoriously had a relationship with Bill Ayers, a founder of the Weather Underground, which the FBI designated a domestic terrorist group. And, I was about to say, I'll go into what he did, but he kind of says it here himself. Says Ayers has said that he does not regret setting bombs, he does not consider what he did to be terrorism, and he believes that his conduct wasn't extreme enough in fighting racism, according to Influence Watch. Yeah, this is a dangerous dude. I think he's teaching at, Northwestern University right now, so he's basically in my backyard. Okay, and he's a commie extremist of the, top tier. So it says, the sketchy connections hardly stop with Ayers. Obama took a chummy photo with and was endorsed by Louis Farrakhan and was a 20-year member of the Church of Jeremiah Wright, notorious for his Goddamn America sermon and blaming the U.S. for the 9/11 attacks, just as DSA candidate Milat Kiros has done, and she's in Colorado right now, and yeah, it's yes, it's the she was wearing a short skirt argument, is what they're basically making here. As Obama only separated from Wright as his presidential campaign gathered steam. The speaking of Wright and Farrakhan highlights the reality that Obama harbored a poorly disguised contempt for his country, even as he inflamed the racial tensions on which he would base that contempt, just as the Mamdani Marxists do. He made a point of bashing America in front of other world leaders for showing arrogance and being dismissive, even derisive. He campaigned on fundamentally transforming the United States of America, much in the same vein as Mamdani's contention that America is exceptional because here, nothing is fixed into place. Michelle Obama echoed her husband's position, because she's also a raging communist, asserting, we're going to have to change our traditions, our history. We're going to have to move into a difficult place as a nation. Well, the difficulty's over. Okay, we're not in a difficult place anymore. You just think it is. There's a difference between it actually being that thing and you thinking it's that thing. And it's definitely just in your imagination. After his election, she said that for the first time in my adult life, I am really proud of my country, a comment she would later walk back. In similar statements, Barack would characterize the Constitution, we're on a first-name basis with the former president, okay. He would characterize the Constitution as stained by this nation's original sin of slavery, and berate Americans who purportedly, there we go, cling to guns or religion or antipathy to people who aren't like them, or anti-immigrant sentiment or anti-trade sentiment as a way to explain their frustrations. Obama was also a forerunner of the DSA socialists when it came to weaponizing race for political gain. In 2009, he quickly weighed in on the mistaken arrest of Harvard professor Henry Louis Gates Jr. I did not know he was arrested. I know who he is, because he does that program that traces people's ancestry. Basically the one that told Sunny Hostin from The View, if you don't know who that is. A woman who's always crying about there being racism and there need to be reparations, telling her that, oh wait, by the way, your family were slaveholders. Congratulations. So anyway, he weighed in on the mistaken arrest of Harvard professor Henry Louis Gates Jr., smearing the Cambridge police for acting stupidly and implying racial profiling had occurred despite not seeing all the facts. 3 years later, he inserted himself in the case of Trayvon Martin, I remember when he did this, a black teen shot by George Zimmerman, purportedly in self-defense. And by the way, George Zimmerman looks like a Hispanic dude, because I think he's half Hispanic, but they kept saying that he's white because his name is, George Zimmerman. Obama said if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon, a comment that had no bearing on the charges against Zimmerman, who was found not guilty of second-degree murder. Most notably, when police fatally shot Michael Brown, a black 18-year-old, in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014, Obama called the ensuing riots understandable. He also opined that the law too often feels like it's being applied in a discriminatory fashion, despite evidence justifying law enforcement's use of force in the shooting. The incident helped launch the Black Lives Matter movement that would cause so much destruction 6 years later. And by the way, the Michael Brown shooting is Eric Holder, who was his attorney general, ran the investigation and found that the shooting was legit. Like, it was justified, is what I mean to say. So, take that for what you will. So it says, race weaponization and anti-Americanism aside, Obama blazed the trail of far-left Marxist radicalism on a host of additional issues, such as government bailouts, the trans agenda, abortion, taxing the rich, same-sex marriage, lawfare, and mass immigration. Further, Obama's radicalism is wildly popular on the left, both now and when he left office. Nearly 90% of self-described liberals viewed him favorably, according to a June 2026 CNN poll. Among members of the Democrat Party, that number rose to 96%, a point higher than when he left office. Put another way, Democrats don't see him as too moderate or not radical enough. And then Sean Davis, who is one of the bigwigs at the Federalist, has something here about, let's see, during the recon. Yeah, okay. We don't have to necessarily go into that because it's not the full tweet. I'm not going to click on it. So continuing on, it says, which helps explain both why the Democrat Party politicians have been hot on his heels long before the DSA communists appeared, and why the narrative about geriatric Dems straining to hold the fort against Gen Z communists is false. Those with memories that last longer than 5 seconds will recall that Democrats didn't need Mamdani radicals to help them nix constitutional rights during COVID, declare that men are women, and open America's borders, often in an effort to replicate Obama's political success. They were radical enough for the far left then, and they're radical enough now, thanks in large part to the spiritual patriarch, Obama. The new Marxists like Mamdani, Avila Chevalier, Quiros, and Claire Valdez, she's another person in New York that's, again, socialists are stupid, and she's one of them. So they are simply following in his footsteps and those of the moderate Democrats. Are they more blatant and less calibrated to a national campaign? Certainly. Does Obama know his craft well enough to cosplay as moderate and morph as expediency requires? Absolutely. But make no mistake, Barack Obama is no moderate and neither is his party. There is no war between radicals and moderates. It's simply a battle over which radicals will rule the party Obama created. And it sucks that we can't have like regular Democrats anymore unless their name is John Fetterman. So, yeah, I mean, as much as I wasn't paying attention to politics during the Obama era, I totally understand like why everybody thinks it's him, and I kind of feel that way too. And it just always felt like something was wrong during, like, especially his second term. It just kind of felt like there was something different in the air, and it didn't seem right. But whatever. Do you agree with this or not? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.